Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar today, which will introduce KU Select 2016, our third collection. I'm Christina Emery, and I'm Partnership Manager for Knowledge Unlatched. As you may have seen, attendees' microphones have been muted, but you can type in any questions into the chat box on the right-hand side. This webinar will be recorded, and a link to the recording will be sent to you after the webinar. As you know, this presentation is co-hosted by LYRASIS, and I'm joined today by Jill Grogg, who's Licensing Programme Strategist. We'll be happy to answer your questions together at the end. The presentation itself should last around 20 minutes, with time for Q&A afterwards. So feel free to type any questions that you may have into the chat box. I'll be giving you details about the collection, as well as a glimpse of what KU is planning for the future, and some exciting news about next week. I'm sure you're all very curious about the new collection if you haven't seen it yet, so let's just dive straight into the nitty-gritty about what it contains. The pledging period is open for librarians to show their support for these titles in KU Select 2016. For this collection, a total of 343 books were shortlisted by the Title Selection Committee, which is a group of 40 acquisitions and collections librarians in 12 countries. The chosen books fall into 16 subject categories in the Humanities and Social Sciences, and we've divided them into 14 packages. For the first time, we're introducing opening access up to backlist titles alongside new titles. In order to participate, there is again a minimum amount which libraries will need to pledge. And in order to acknowledge libraries' purchases of additional formats of books that you've pledged for, publishers have again agreed to a discount, which is 35% off the recommended retail price and can be claimed directly from the relevant publishers. The Frontlist collection consists of 147 new titles in the Humanities and Social Sciences. These titles are scheduled to be published between November 2016 and April 2017. The pledging price per Frontlist title is $55 US. The Backlist collection consists of 196 titles in the Humanities and Social Sciences. We set strict criteria for these titles. They had to be published between 2005 and 2015, and these books should be offered at a greatly reduced price of $13.75 per title per library. I've just received a question which I'll address straight away. I'm being asked if I can send the presentation slides to you. Of course, this will be no problem. So you'll have both the recording of the webinar, but I can also send the actual PowerPoint slides as well. So why did we decide to expand to these backlist titles? A popular request from libraries was that KU increase the number of titles it offers to libraries. We decided to ask publishers for backlist titles that complement the frontlist titles, so that researchers and students would be able to have a greater reading selection. We've talked about how and why monographs are facing difficulties in previous webinars. It's a challenge which faces libraries and publishers as well as academics, and you can see why OA is beneficial for academics in particular in this image here. This is where KU comes in. Many libraries are struggling to afford books, as you all know. Authors are finding it harder to get published. Many readers are struggling to gain access to the books that they want, in spite of the possibilities of digital technology. I mentioned the new Backlist Collection earlier. If the world is to have access to the foundational building blocks of disciplines, then we have to open up backlist titles as well as new books. Some publishers are already making deep backlist titles open, and these books are no longer selling in any material manner. While there are now ways of funding open access publishing going forward, there is this middle body of content that remains closed. This is what KU now needs support for to make open. So, what is Knowledge Unlatched? KU is an award-winning initiative that helps libraries from around the world to share the costs of making books open access. By open access, we mean available to anyone in the world to read or download for free on a Creative Commons license. KU was founded as a not-for-profit organisation by Francis Pinter in London in 2012. In 2015, Lucy Montgomery moved to Perth in Australia to become the director of the Centre for Culture and Technology at Curtin University. Lucy is also director of KU Research. In 2016, KU expanded to Germany with a base in Berlin, thanks to new managing director Sven Fundt, who is former CEO of De Gruyter. Last July, a new base for KU was announced in Ann Arbor at the University of Michigan Library. How do libraries from around the world share the costs of making books open access? Publishers are paid a fixed title fee that is split amongst participating libraries. The title fee for new books represents the basic cost of publishing a book. This is much less than the price of a book through conventional channels, as there are fewer intermediaries involved. Of course, backlist unlatching is much less, because the publisher has already recovered much of their investment. Making it open access will eat into expected post-publication print sales. Payment of the title fee allows a publisher to feel confident that they will not make a loss on a book if it's made available on an open access license. And as I mentioned before, discounts are available to libraries who purchase additional formats of any of the books that you pledge for with KU. This is how the KU model works. Firstly, we ask publishers to submit titles that fulfill our criteria. Then, the Title Selection Committee, which is made up of acquisitions and collections librarians, votes on the titles. The shortlist is then presented to the wider library community, who then pledge on smaller subject packages within the collection. If enough pledges are secured in order to cover the cost of the title fees, then these books can be unlatched. Libraries are then invoiced for their selection, and publishers are paid. Libraries will receive MARC records and their own usage statistics reports. In fact, you can already download the initial skeletal MARC records from our website. If there aren't enough pledges to cover the title fees, then those packages won't be unlatched, and libraries won't be invoiced for those books. So far, we've run 2 successful collections and unlatched over 100 books. In the pilot, 28 books from 13 publishers were made open access. Since the unlatching, which started in March 2014, there have been just under 74,000 downloads in 183 countries via OAPEN and the Internet Archive. This averages to 2,600 downloads per book, compared to sales of a couple of hundred, as would be expected for closed monographs. In addition to this, there have been almost 22,000 page views on HarTrust's platform. Of course, these statistics don't include access via publishers' own platforms or any other routes. In round 2, a further 78 books from 26 publishers were made available on an open access basis, which we started to unlatch in March last year. As of next week, usage figures will also be available for the unlatched books in the round 2 collection, so please keep an eye on our news site. This is an interactive map which you'll find on our website, where you can zoom into different locations to see the number of downloads overall for the different collections which KU has unlatched. As I mentioned, next week we'll have the latest quarterly usage statistics report up to the end of last year. And anyone, anywhere can access unlatched titles by going to our collections website, knowledgeunlatched.org. And here you can see there are links to both HartiTrust and to the OAPEN databases. So far, 380 libraries plus consortia have participated in the previous KU collections. These libraries come from 24 countries around the world, so you can see that KU has a global appeal. A list of all participating libraries can be found on our website, www.knowledgeunlatched.org. If you head over to the news section, which I mentioned before, you can see a list of all supporting institutions for the current collection as well. I checked before the webinar and we're currently at 109 libraries who've pledged for the new collection, and our target is around 300 libraries. There are many reasons why libraries participate in KU's collections, ranging from a general wish to support the open access cause, to using KU as a viable means to fulfill OA mandates in their countries. KU books are also good value for money. The benefits that KU and its model offer attract libraries who seek a sustainable and flexible way to purchase ebooks and at the same time make those books open access. KU asked libraries what would encourage them to participate, and as a result, the model reflects this feedback. Recent suggestions involved having more books, more flexibility, and more choice. So KU has expanded its offering. We built in a pick and choose option to select titles on an individual basis, and now we allow for early invoicing for libraries who wish to take advantage of their 2016 budget. Our partners include HartiTrust and OAPEN, which both host the open access versions of KU titles. All of our books are preserved by Clocks and Portico. We now have increased support for handling sign-ups and invoicing. As you'll know, we're again working together with LYRASIS in North America. We're also working together with JISC Collections in the UK, as in previous rounds. And new partners to join us this time are Cassellini Libri, Karger Libri, and Schweizer Fachinformation, who are joining us for this collection in various countries around the world. Let's focus in again on this collection, KU Select 2016. Here is a list of the 54 publishers who are participating in the new collection. They range from university presses to commercial, as well as OA publishers, and come from 5 continents: Africa, Asia, Australia, Europe, and North America. You can find this list in the FAQs and the title list spreadsheet, which are on our website. I'll give you the link at the end. So for those of you familiar with the previous collection, Round 2, here's a brief summary of how KU has expanded. Publishers have agreed to offer a discount to libraries purchasing additional formats of KU titles so that you can avoid paying twice for the same content. Libraries can claim a 35% discount directly from publishers when placing their order for additional formats. And we encourage publishers to include a reference to the KU open access version so that libraries are enabled to make informed decisions about additional format purchases. Knowledge Unlatched knows that it is important for librarians to have a say in the steering of KU and in the content of its collections. We listened to feedback about expanding the subject areas, and we also assembled a title selection committee from nominations. 40 librarians from 12 countries then voted on a list of 681 titles that publishers had submitted for KU Select 2016, which met our criteria for this collection. A list of these librarians can be found on our website. The feedback from the committee was really positive, with some even struggling to decide on the great choice. Although I mentioned some figures in the snapshot slide earlier, here are some more details. Front list titles cost $55 per library to unlatch, and backlist titles cost $13.75 each. In order to participate in KU Select 2016, libraries have two options. They need to pledge for either the complete KU Select 2016 collection of 343 titles, which is both frontlist and backlist. This costs $10,780 with a minimum pledge of 90% or $9,702. The second option is to pledge for the KU Select 2016 front list collection only of 147 titles. This costs $8,085 with a minimum pledge of 90% again, or $7,277. These amounts already include the 15% service charge, which is shared equally between publishers and libraries, and covers KU's costs to allow us to be sustainable. The pledging period opened on the 1st of September and will remain open until the end of this month, 31st of January 2017. Libraries should create an account for the library portal at app.knowledgeunlatched.org. You'll be able to view the collection, read about the books, and also place your pledges here. Here's a screenshot of the library portal showing the front list collection. You can see the list of packages on the left, how many titles you've pledged for in each package at the top, the amount of pledges confirmed for that collection at the top as well. You can also pledge for the entire collection by clicking on Select All. In the bottom right corner is a green circle, which is the pop-up chat window. You can ask us any questions directly by using that window. If you're based in North America, these questions are automatically directed to LYRASIS, so they'll be able to help you within your time zone, hopefully. Once you're looking at a package, you can click on any book to read the description. Remember that you can download the full title and publisher list as an Excel spreadsheet from our website at any time. I mentioned the flexibility of this collection. You can pledge on 3 levels, either by collection or by package, by clicking the relevant Select All buttons. Or you can select individual titles on the right-hand side. You can also delete pledges and edit your choices until the end of the pledging period, even if you've confirmed your choice. For further details, please download our step-by-step guide to pledging, which is also available on our website. As I mentioned, the pledging period ends on the 31st of January, and we'll then assess the pledges we've received to see if the collection or if individual packages can be unlatched. Libraries will be informed of the outcome in February, and then we will start to unlatch the titles. LYRASIS will start invoicing libraries in February, and then KU will pay the publishers once we've received the invoices. So, what's next for KU? Libraries may propose publishers for inclusion into future collections. KU is planning to expand to Humanities and Social Sciences journals from 2018. And of course, KU will continue its research work in usage and in other metrics. Excuse me. In 2015, KU established KU Research, which is working on finding better ways to track how open access books are being used and to develop simple, easy to understand usage statistics reports for libraries, authors, and publishers. Lucy Montgomery, together with PhD researcher Alkeem Azagan at Curtin University, are leading the research. They found a way to provide libraries with counter-compliant individual usage statistics for their institutions, and these reports are now available for participating libraries in our library portal. Here's a preview of how the institutional usage statistics reports look like. Libraries which participated in the pilot and in round 2 should log into the KU library portal to download their reports from the analytics section. As I mentioned, next week we'll have the latest report for the pilot usage stats, including Q4 2016. And for libraries who participated in round 2, we'll be creating your usage statistics reports for the first time, which is really exciting news, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing those figures. Before we move on to the Q&A session, don't forget to jot down the address of the library portal so that you can create your own account. As mentioned, the pledging period is open until the 31st of January, and multiple users from each library can create accounts. Information about this collection can be found on our main website, where you can download the title lists as well as these other documents. If you're familiar with our website, you'll notice that we launched a new one a couple of months ago. Due to our expansion, we wanted to revamp our website to be able to better showcase all of our new projects and developments. Any old links you have should be automatically redirected to the new pages, but do get in touch if you're having difficulties navigating around the new website. We regularly use Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn, so please do connect with us on social media. Thanks for listening to this presentation today. I'm now going to ask Jill if she can unmute her microphone, and we'll turn on our webcam so you can see who we are. There we go. So that's working. Hi Jill, I can see you.
Okay, great.
I can hear you too. Great. Thank you for joining us again today. So we do have a couple of questions which I received during the presentation. I will just have a look at those. So we're being asked if we know if any of the backlist titles are part of ebook packages, such as JSTOR and OSO, that libraries may already buy or subscribe to. So just to clarify, I mean, these are obviously not open access books yet, but I don't actually know the answer to this question myself. Jill, do you know if they're in any packages, any of the backlist titles?
I don't know that. There's a possibility that they might be, but I don't know that off the top of my head.
Yeah, I know that Celeste was kind enough to look at the frontlist package, and there was a small overlap with a couple of ebook packages with the newer books. Actually, not a large percentage, but there was a small overlap. But for the backlist, I'm not 100% sure of that. Some good news, which we haven't announced yet, is that we are working together with ProQuest, and they will be indicating in their database which books are open access, and they'll put the price tag, they'll set it to 0, so that libraries can, see easier that these books are open access and that they don't need to actually acquire or purchase these books. And we're hoping that other intermediaries and aggregators will follow suit. But with, step by step, I think this is great news for the first step, and we're working on it for sure because we understand how laborious this process can be.
That is great news.
Okay, there's another question. Are these titles available in I can never say the word, perpetuity, or just for the yep, so if I may I'll answer that question. Yes, so the nature of these books is that they're open access, so they're available to anyone, anywhere in the world, from now on. There's no time limit on it. They can be downloaded or read online. They're archived by Clocks and Portico. So yes, it's not a limited license. The licenses that we use are Creative Commons licenses, and the publishers agree these the type of license with their authors. So there's a CC BY book in there. I think the majority are CC BY and CMD, but yes, they're available as open access if we're successful, if we reach enough pledges. So please do pledge. Okay, I'll wait to see if there's any more questions coming in. Let me think if there's any news I can give you. Oh, on our website, there's a really great section. If you go to the news section and then click on, I think, interviews, you can read all of our author interviews, which we've published. So what we did was we interviewed authors before the pilot collection to kind of find out their opinions on open access. And then we interviewed them again after the pilot collection to see if their opinions had changed following their experience with KU. And there's also some interviews with round 2 authors on there as well. So it's quite interesting to see how open access has actually helped the authors who've participated. Jill, do you have anything you want to mention?
I was just going to say that, of course, the LYRASIS will be at ALA Midwinter, and we will have a booth there. So if you have any questions about Knowledge Unlatched, please feel free to stop by, and we would be happy to chat with you about pledging and participation and any other questions you may have.
Of course, I should have mentioned that. I'm very sorry.
No, that's okay.
So yeah, there's no new questions that have come in. Of course, feel free to contact myself or Jill afterwards, so we can help you out if you think of any questions afterwards. Yes, and thank you again for joining us. Just to reiterate that the deadline is the 31st of January, so there's a couple of weeks left to pledge. So please do log into the library portal, have a look around and pledge if you can. Yes, and I'll send a link to the recording later today or tomorrow. So thanks very much, and thank you, Jill, for joining us today.
Thank you, Christina.
Thanks. Bye.